Parents of Reddit, what do you not understand about us teenagers? I get the need to be cool. I was a teenager once, too. But, why carry on with the act when it's just you and your parents? I did it, too. I just don't know why. Edit. I ask because, now in my 40s, I can spend time with my dad and he can be himself and I can be myself and nobody is trying to be cool. It could have always been like that, but I was too busy trying to impress my parents with my deep spiritual connection to Cypress Hill. Sincerity is vulnerable and teens already feel plenty vulnerable. Also, if you drop the act around your parents, you are acknowledging that it's an act. Some kids are okay with that because they are aware of social masking and code switching, consciously or otherwise. Other kids, especially kids who might be struggling socially or are trying to discover themselves, would resist the idea that their more popular, more well-liked self is just an act and feel pressure to keep it up 24/7, because they assume all the other cool kids are naturally like that, too. If kids are still trying to maintain an aloof cool act around people like their parents, then it might be a sign they lack confidence in their social skills and or have social anxiety. Also, depending on their age, kids are trying on personalities like trying on pants. I remember cycling through some forced personality traits trying to discover myself as a tween. Their parents might seem like a safe target to crash test their new, edgy personality on, even if it sucks for the parents. You were together 1 minute ago. Why are you now shouting at each other from across the street? 'Cause I love my friends. And it's like IDK parting words? It's our last goodbyes for the moment, the last of the things we forgot to say. We know we can text each other, but IDK, it just makes sense to me. From not a teenager, but was within the last several a teenager I suppose. Why do I have to pester you about showering more than once a week? Do you want to be the stinky kid? This is how you get to be the stinky kid. I have to have arguments every time with my teenager about this. You need to take a shower. I don't. You had gym today. We didn't do anything. You're still a teen and will stink if you don't take a shower, so you're taking one now. Later my teen will admit that they did a lot of running and stuff in gym. And he'll admit this after he got into the shower and is taking 20 minutes. First you don't want to get in and now you won't get out. My dad's "you smell like ass and it's revolting, go shower" always worked. He's jacking it. Some people just like long showers, man. They take a moment to experience existential dread and then continue. Literally 28 now and I've been the type to shave, wash body, shampoo hair, stare into the void for 30-45 minutes. Condition hair, exit shower since I was 14. Why do you like TikTok so much? I get that some of the videos are funny, but I couldn't sit and watch an hour of them without losing my mind. I personally don't use it, or Snapchat, because I find the notifications annoying and the format so simple it's complicated, but Facebook is just old people, and now they're invading Instagram too. It's important for these things to feel somewhat private, at least from parents and relatives. Growing up in the 80s, drugs were around, and I thought my kids wouldn't be able to get away with anything because I know what was out there. Then over the decades the party drugs changes, and now I have no idea what my kids are up against. What are they up against? What are the social pressures for today's kids? Thanks. Recently graduated from teenhood here. Xanax and Adderall are rampant because of all the kids getting prescribed and selling their prescriptions. Obviously the whole dual vape thing, big one. Drinking was hardly a thing like it used to be. Weed has always been around and today it's the main doc for teens. I'm a teacher, and the one question I always have is why TF do you feel the need to hit every single door frame you pass by? Teenage boys are automatically compelled to do that. We don't know why, we just like to slap things that are high. They like to prove their height. I'm short, so I don't have this natural habit unless I'm confident it's slow enough for me to reach. If you mean the top of the door frame, personally I just always assumed it's because it's a relatively new novel thing you can do now that you've gotten taller in the last few years. Not a parent but just some old guy at work. How the hell do you know what's cool or in trend nowadays? There's so much things going on at once and it seems like it changes on a monthly basis. I just don't have time for a whole lot of social media either. Like what? We spend 8 hours a day surrounded by hundreds or thousands of other kids our age. Trends are bound to spread like wildfire. This is the correct answer. Teenage culture isn't unique to the internet age, only accelerated by it. Teachers are probably fairly aware of trends and memes just due to the time they spend. Of course, they're not going to know nearly as much as the kids themselves. I think certain things get picked up and are liked by the majority who then share it through many communities, and some trends just weave their way through the internet and social media rather subconsciously, maybe like language and slang or certain ideas and opinions that are shared between people of the same age. Then you also have trends that come from popular figures or celebrities who have a large following and make a large impact on a lot of people all at once. It's a lot about communities and social bubbles on social media nowadays. Especially since e.g. Twitter or Instagram filter content according to your interest. So someone who tends to interact with tweets about climate change will get other tweets about that topic shown more often. I'd say the main drivers therefore are communities, word of mouth, algorithms, and popular figures. Why won't you stay off my goddamn lawn? The grass is always greener. Specifically on your lawn. What's with refusing to learn to drive and no, I won't drive you to your girlfriend's house? Sheesh. Personally, I found it to be scary. You have absolutely no experience with something like driving a car, with all the little nuances that come naturally with experienced drivers. You're just put behind the wheel and expected to drive. It's a big responsibility. You're in control, but that means you're responsible for the life of who is teaching you and everyone else on the road too. Plus you're always being critiqued by whoever is teaching you. My legs would constant shake when I first began driving, but it gets better, I realized. Why are you all on Reddit so much? Jokes aside, Reddit has communities for nearly every topic and interest you can think of. If you're a little excluded at school, it can be nice to find a community who shares your love for that TV show or video game. Even if you're doing well socially, hey look, an endless stream of funny dogs and crazy videos and interesting stories. Why not Reddit? Also, porn. It's not blocked by school-issued computers and iPads. Damn, my school district has had it blocked for as long as I can remember. I am listening. I am here for you, and the advice I give is from walking the same path you're on now. I just need a bit of help on the details. Don't shut me out. About shutting you out. So when I tell you about my problems, I realize what you're going through is much harder and on a different level. Then I feel my problems are stupid. Show us that it's not stupid, it's fine, by telling us about your imperfect childhood life. About when I don't shut you out. Sorry, this section is longer than the above. I guess my problem is what happens after sharing. Also, what works for you does not work for me. For example, my mother was very social and I am not. I am extremely shy. Thus, the way she can approach people and sort things out between friends won't work for me. But now I realize you can give me advice that works for me, too. Sometimes, I just want you to listen. Don't judge, don't give advice. I know how to handle it. I just want to vent. In retrospect, I think it's very hard for you guys to see when you need to give advice or not, but I guess all of us are learning. Teenagers and parents. Not a parent, but Fortnite dances. I don't know if that's a teenage thing or younger. It looks ridiculous. Of course, I used to skank to ska music, so I'm not one to talk. Fortnite, the game, put those dances in to be ridiculous on purpose since many of them are references to other jokes, memes. The target audience of 10-12-year-olds didn't understand the references and started copying them unironically, because they're kids, as a way to communicate with fellow Fortnite players. Since kids use the internet earlier these days, older kids and teens became aware of the cringy trend and started copying them to be funny, forming a parabolic curve of irony. So I guess the point is that nobody really does the Fortnite dances for the reasons people assume. What's with all the cursing? Like I swear every time I speak to my teenage cousins every other word's the F word. I mean yeah, I swear sometimes too, but like sometimes it's really inappropriate. Also, what's an e-girl? Is it like a scene kit? An e-girl is essentially just a girl that posts attractive things on social media for attention, but for people they don't interact with in real life. The popular ones do this to a degree where they create almost a specific internet persona for it, and the really popular ones can make six figures off their nudes. You can't really put them in a box though. There's scene ones, goth ones, anime ones etc etc. The male equivalent, e-boy, is much more dangerous though. While girls get a pass for posting cringy things because they're hot, boys don't. This leads to incredibly viral posts taking the piss out of admittedly good-looking lads that spend 15 seconds biting their lip and smoldering the camera. And after being told not to curse your whole life but then hearing your parents curse at you for God knows what every other day, it's sort of a combination of rebellion since we can't. Lots of validity of the rule because I hear my parents swear casually and out of anger a lot, and it doesn't seem like something that makes sense to be discriminatory by age. Don't know how to explain e-girls though. Someone else on here described it well. Most parents are trying to forget deny they went through it themselves once. My dad used to tell me he was a hardworking model student in high school. He tried to get me to work a lot on productivity and limit my leisure playtime as a child. My mom told me he used to be a party animal and a bit of a womanizer before she met him. My aunt told me he was just insanely smart in high school so he was always ahead of the curve in classes. Why you're so grumpy in the mornings? Teen brains during puberty have their internal clock kinda shuffled about. When a teen gets up at 7 they are feeling what an adult feels getting up at 5. Also why they stay up later. Their brain doesn't feel sleepy until later. And also the thought of going to school also definitely does not help. So that's what was wrong. I tend to just make myself some coffee and I'm good. Why are you so fucking obsessed with likes and followers? If someone follows me who I don't know I block that creepy fuck. Validation. That sweet fucking dopamine. Oh wow, someone enjoys what I do enough to give me a virtual man nod. Something that I am deprived of in reality I think. Why it's so hard to ask for help. In my experience, it's usually because of a belief that no one will help you, and people will think you're stupid and mock you. Oftentimes it's because of a bad experience. It's bad experiences most of the time. Why you don't stand up more to parents or your boss or a teacher who shits on you. And, I'm saying this because I wished that I had, and I understand the power issues, and I get that standing up for yourself in healthy ways isn't taught, so it makes this harder. But goddamn, you'll have internet and YouTube and information at your fingertips. If someone is being an ass to you, learn about healthy coping skills, online if that's all that's available, and also believe in yourself. Stand up against ideas and people that are oppressing you. Say something. I just got my first real job and I was surprised my boss trusted me when I said I felt sick. I was surprised that he valued my opinion, that I was allowed to make mistakes, that he treated me like a human being. I only knew subservience and the fact that I would be replaced by someone better at the earliest opportunity. You have a great boss. It's empowering to be treated like that. Keep that feeling close and don't let any future bosses, or relationships, make you feel any less. That you'd rather text than talk. I'm 33 and texting was first becoming a thing when I was late in middle school early in HS. I resisted texting to an extreme degree for years. Today I realize texting is good because it allows for multiple simultaneous conversations, as well as giving one more time to craft an appropriate response. Very important sometimes, that would otherwise be met with uncomfortable silence over the phone. Why do you need to post a picture of your food? You think that's something teens started? I've seen way more adults Snapstagramming their food than teens. Waiter, where's my food? My followers are waiting. Can you not see that while we're not perfect, we have been working ourselves so hard for more than a decade to give you the best adult life we can? I wish my parents were more forward with me about their lives before me. I saw their hard work for me, but I didn't yet fully understand there were people like me who now care for me. I thought that they were just always destined to give me the life I had. This idiocy was from my own young selfishness, but also their inability to share about their pasts. They never liked telling me about their childhoods. I'd ask, what were you like in high school, and they'd claim they don't remember. I don't know who my parents were. And I struggled seeing them as people rather than just my parents. Maybe try to share a lot with your teens, and be very straightforward about how hard you are trying to provide for them. I'm 30 and still wish my parents talked more about their pre-kid life. Why is it such a mystery? I am a teenager who feels out of touch with most of my peers. Why has smoking and drinking become normalized and at times even praised? This something that has persisted a very long time. It is because they are all age restricted, and so doing them means doing a 1. Forbidden 2. Adult activity that 3. Gives you an altered state. So there is both the thrill of the taboo, the pretension of sophistication, and actual feeling of intoxication, which feels more exciting when it is a new experience. In countries where drinking when young is generally accepted and legal, getting smashed is not seen as cool in the same way as the States, UK accepted. Wholesome. I have a question for the parents. Are you just idiotic, or are you literally incapable of remembering what it's like to be a teenager? Some of these questions are incredibly obvious to anybody who is a teenager, and it's unbelievable that they are being asked. I'm sorry to be so rude, but it's insane. I swear to God I'm going to try as hard as I can to remember this stage of my life so that I can be better to kids, if I have any. I wondered the exact same thing when I was a teenager, and I also vowed to make a point and remember so I wouldn't be a bad parent. I'm 24 and I've already forgotten, well, not the big ones like the importance of fitting in, social hierarchy in school, but the smaller things that probably stressed me out for a whole year. Then I see that because I have a teen brother, and when I have to deal with him I try to remember when I was his age. Not as easy to relate as I had hoped. Also, every once in a while I do remember things down to the finer details. Say, a photograph brings back the memories, and I'm baffled how I have a completely wrong picture in my head of my own teen years. So there's your answer. Literally incapable. I can't speak for everyone though, of course some adults are just assholes, and there might be adults out there very able to empathize. 21 and barely remember it. You're not the only one. Why don't you love me anymore? I'm still driving you around, feeding you, asking about your interests, and doing the holiday stuff I hate, but I can't even get a smile around here. I'm going to get a 1-bedroom apartment. This might just be puberty. Don't worry, your kid loves you. Just give each other some space. Damn, you're a lot better than my parents. My parents stopped driving me around at 15 and never gave a fuck about my interests. I don't think my parents know that I like to draw. I love drawing. But I don't think they have any idea. I don't understand how you can play video games on that tiny screen. A PC or a console is so much more comfortable, more powerful, and overall just much more fun. Also, your obsession with Instagram and those shits where you can plaster your entire social life on it. What's the appeal? Don't you want a little privacy? Also, you do realize, I hope, that while we have more life experience than you, we're in no way perfect and without fallacies, right? I'm asking because when I teach it to these kids during karate class, those 12-13-year-olds look up at me as if I was this all-knowing being that makes no mistakes and has it all figured out. I can assure you, we aren't. We just have been through more. Some of us really like the games that come on handhelds. I personally just love old Pokemon games. We disregard the next train until we look up lol. Teenagers scare the living shit out of me.